Afternoon. Today I'm just going to be reviewing this Parkside bandsaw that I bought. I've bought the most budget bandsaw that I can find. Retailing for £100 at the moment, or slightly under at $99.99. And I thought I would get it, A, to see what it's like, and 2, I need a bandsaw. I've never had one, not sure how much I'll use it, so I went for something that's most affordable for me. Taking it out of the box couldn't be easier. It's got minimal packaging. I did take a video of it, but there's that little to it that the construction's nothing much of a video. It comes in 2 parts. You've got the main body, and then you've got the table that came separate. Slides together. There's 2 bolts on the back, one with twister handle, and it's as easy as just unscrewing and then screwing to get tightness. It's got a handy gauge for the angles on the back. It's a nice easy setup. And just using part of my set square, I can see that the blade sits nice and level to the worktop. It's got a couple of little features that I do like. You can adjust the height for cutting, so when you're doing a smaller piece, it's just a knob on the back. You just turn round, it lowers or heightens it. Turn up the tension on the bolt on the back, doesn't go anywhere. Again, for me, usually using small bits of MDF or ply, that's great that there's not a massive amount of blade showing. It's less for me to put my fingers in, and I can guarantee you there's always a possibility of me putting my fingers or cutting myself, so that's great for me. The tabletop itself is nice and secure. It does have the ability to go into being a bevel, sorry, not a bevel, a mitre. Just by unscrewing it, you can turn it round, line it back up, tighten up, and then you can go in with all your mitre cuts. Nice and simple, nothing too much to it. And again, it's just to unclip 2 bolts on the back, bring that level. Only other thing you have to do for setup is to put the cutting band onto the machine itself. Again, that's fairly easy. We've got a wheel top and bottom, nice and sturdy, made of metal, and all you do is loop it over and then tighten up with this one, which pulls the wheel up, puts a nice bit of tension on the blade. It's got a good safety feature. When the doors open, it loosens the connectors there on top and bottom, and it cuts the power, so you can never turn it on while you've got your fingers in adjusting the blade. That being said, I always unplug it anyway, and I recommend anyone does that. Power itself. The power itself is just a 240 volt 3-pin plug. Plug straight into your normal sockets. I do like the no volt return switches on it. It does mean that if the power cuts out at any point during my builds, I don't have to worry about walking away from the warehouse. I don't have to worry about walking away from the workshop and coming back later to find that the machine's been running. Similarly, if I'm cutting something and power goes off and I'm starting to look at the reasons why, thinking it might be the machine, it just stops it turning itself back on and catching my fingers or anything else in the blades or the wheels. Comes with 3 main attachments. First of all is your average push stick, nothing fancy, made out of plastic, a bit like Ron Seal, does exactly what it says on the tin. Second bit is this mitre gauge that goes in. I'm not going to lie, this is probably the worst part about it. I'm not sure how accurate the measurements are on it. It's not easy to see the lines and line them up, and there's that much play that you've probably got 2 degrees, maybe even 3 degrees of play just rattling around. That being said, how many sort of mitre cuts are you going to do on a small cheap bandsaw with small pieces of wood? I certainly aren't going to do that many, so that won't bother me. I find that I need to do some, or I'm doing a lot of them, I'll probably make myself a little sled or something similar. It also comes with a fence for keeping a square edge, cutting flat along things. Again, my opinion of this were fairly much the same when it arrived. It's not very well made, it does feel rather cheap. However, that being said, when I've slipped it over the back, it's got this handy little latch here that just pulls it tight. It is actually quite solid. If you want it to be a bit tighter, you just turn it up a bit and clip it in. And that's not going anywhere. The only thing I do with that is I just check it against my edge just to make sure that it's nice and straight before I make any cuts. But for something that seemed quite so cheap, remarkably sturdy. I'm quite impressed with that. I've made several different types of cuts with this. Recently I've been doing as small as some little butterflies, wooden butterflies, to go as decoration pieces on a playhouse build. It's cut them out great. Tight corners, not too much of an issue. Likewise, recently I've been making a push stick of my own, some extra push sticks on the thin 18mm ply, not a problem. Cuts nice and easily, made the job really simple, really easy. I did use it on some thicker wood, sort of 1.5 inches, and it didn't like that. I was only trying to do some small straight cuts, but it just couldn't handle it. Once it got about 3 inches into the wood was nipping against it, and the motor comes to a halt. Not a problem. Again, in one sense you could say that's not great, but for £100, how much do you think it's going to cut? It cuts in line with my expectations. It's not fantastic, but it's not half bad either for the money. Looking at the other competitors online, you're £150, £180 upwards for a lot of their starting tools, so that's not bad. One thing that I am going to do, one modification that I will make, it comes with a 6mm blade. It's okay, but it's only okay. I've done some research online, spoke to some other people that have got one, and I'll be looking at getting an 8mm and a 10mm thick blade, which should give it a little bit more stability and make it cut slightly better. But all in all, for £100, I can't see any real faults with it. If you want something that's going to cut thicker wood, invest some better money. But as a start-off tool, like I said, I've done 2 or 3 projects now, more than happy. It'll earn the £100 back by the time that I want to upgrade to something better. Hope that helps, and we'll see you on the next one.